I guess it was the snow. My first area. We drove up. They told me it was going to be hot, and it started snowing that first night. I'm just like, they lied to me. But it gets really, really hot in our mission, and especially in the Santa Clarita Valley, it's the high desert. So you bike around, it feels like a blow dryer. It's pretty horrible, but it's okay. So I learned how to sign as a missionary. I learned how to wash dishes without complaining. I think that's definitely a skill. I had balut on my mission. So, is it a duck egg? That's like half developed. See, I feel like it was kind of a different experience for me because eating hamburgers like all the time was crazy for me. And like the night I went home, we had raw fish. And because I'm from Hawaii, I think our food is way more crazier than their food. But I guess having spaghetti 5 nights in a row is kind of crazy. That's really, really common. Or to have pizza. That's really, really common because, families are busy. And so they just go and buy you food. I had this one family on my mission. So sweet. They bought Taco Bell for us. And they served it like a 5-course meal. Like they brought it out and they laid it out for us, and it was the sweetest thing ever. It was a cool experience to be able to eat dinner with them because even though it was a simple meal, they made it super, super fancy and they made it really fun. I think one of the crazy experiences I had was one of like the greatest miracles I had on my not greatest. You can't rate miracles. The small miracles are great too, but one of the coolest miracles on my mission. I was serving in this area. And me and my companion just went through a lot. And he was going through a hard time, and I was going through a hard time. And so we decided that Pastor needed to fast. And I'm not sure what he decided to fast for, but I fasted for a miracle. We needed something to liven up our spirits. And like, no joke, that next Thursday, the Area 70 that was in charge of our area called us, and he's like, elders, I was wondering if you I had a referral for the missionaries. I wanted to know what area it's for. And so we're like, okay, whatever. And so he told us the address, and we looked it up, and we're like, that's our area. And we met this man. His name was Richard, just prepared by the hand of the Lord to enter the waters of baptism. And he had to overcome a couple of things. I mean, everyone does. But just the Lord, I'm not even sure if it was for Richard. Richard was so ready to be baptized. It really was for us. The Lord knew. And just that experience of going through and teaching Richard, and it was one of the craziest experiences of my mission, just to see how the Lord set Richard up many years beforehand to be able to be baptized and to accept the gospel of Christ fully. Dangerous experience. Okay, so one time when I was in Lancaster, we were kind of like in the middle of West Lancaster and East Lancaster, and there was a helicopter like spotlighting us like around our area while we were tracting at night, and me and my companion were just like, we need to get out of here. In that area, like when the kids walked home from school, the policemen would line up like maybe like 100 feet away from each other and just watch the kids walk home from school. I just think just to watch them. Make sure they don't do anything scary or whatever. I remember one time in one of my areas, went to go visit a less active member, and she lived in a trailer park. And we ran out of people to visit. We went through our plan and our backup plan, and so we decided to visit this one woman that lived towards the outskirts of our area. And so we were driving there, and the Spirit just told me, don't go. And this woman, she's not totally there, but the Spirit just told me, don't go there, not right now. And so I told my companion, he said, okay, that's perfectly fine. So we turned around, and so we decided to call her instead. And she just started yelling at us, and she was just like, who told you to look out for me? And we're like, the Lord. The Lord told us to look out for you. But it was just a good experience, because the Spirit warned us not to go there. And for whatever reason, I don't know what was waiting out there for us, but I just knew that, the Lord didn't want us there for sure. And so that was a cool experience. Dangerous, maybe, but not, because we listened to the Spirit. I think one of the hardest experiences on my mission was seeing missionaries go home early. And it's definitely because the Lord had a different plan for them. And they came and they served the time that they needed to. But for me, I always had a hard time with that. Especially missionaries that you get to know so well, missionaries that you get to serve with. They have testimonies of the gospel. And for health reasons or for other reasons, they need to go home early. That always broke my heart, because I love my mission so much. And I just wish that they all had the chance to be able to serve, all, however long, 18 months or 2 years that they were called to serve. But, the Lord needs them somewhere else. I've come to terms with that. I've come to understand that the Lord puts us in a specific place for a specific time. And for those missionaries that need to go home early, the Lord needs them there. He has a plan for them. He has another job for them to do. And it's just, a continuation of our mission in life. Even though their full-time mission, as full-time missionaries, it ended, they still have other things the Lord needs them to accomplish. And I think that was one of the hardest things that I had to learn to get over on my mission, was seeing missionaries go home early. One of the greatest life lessons I learned on my mission was how to set goals with the Lord, how to make plans and how to accomplish them, and how to reevaluate them and to start all over again. That was definitely something I learned on my mission. Something my mission president, I felt like helped me learn, showed into my brain. That, the Lord is, our God is, our Heavenly Father is a God of order. And He wants us to set goals. And He wants us to do it with the Spirit. But then He wants us to go and He wants us to move mountains. And a lot of people say if you have faith, you can move mountains. But not only that but in our mission, if you have the faith of a mustard seed and a pick, you can move a mountain. And that's what we did in our mission. We set goals and we made plans, and then we measured of how successful we were. And then if we had to make better goals, we would. If we had to reevaluate ourselves, we would. And that's something I definitely have taken into my life now. I do weekly planning every week. I set goals for what I'm going to exercise and what I'm going to study and how I'm going to study. And I think that just has helped me a lot. I'm not perfect. I'm still pretty disorganized. But I know when I set goals with the Lord and then I work my hardest that I can accomplish whatever I need to. One of my recent converts, his name was Oscar, by the way. He's so cool. He was 61 when we went to go see him. But me and my companion just went into an area, and it was the referrals haven't been contacted, and it's really easy on your mission to get behind on referrals. It really is. But we went and he's one of the first names that popped up, and we read it, and the referral simply said, "This is my father. I would love if you could give him a Book of Mormon, and I would love if you could talk to him about eternal families." And so me and my companion went. I went to go knock on the door. And my companion's like, "No, we need to pray first." So we went out, back into the driveway and we were praying. And then when we walked up, Oscar already knew that we were coming. And so he had his head poking out the door. He saw us, that's why. And he was kind of concerned. And we're like, "Hey, your son sent us, to give you a Book of Mormon." And he was like, "I don't have a son." And he's like, "My daughter, though." And we're like, "Oh, your daughter sent us to give you a Book of Mormon and to talk to you about the gospel." And he's like, "Well, come back." So we set up an appointment, and we started teaching Oscar. And his daughter was a recent convert, maybe a year and a half, married in the temple. And he basically said after our lesson, he says, "This book changed my daughter's life. If it can change her life, it can change mine." And we worked with the ward really, really well. The ward worked with us really, really well. We both cooperated really. He just had experiences of his daughter. He wasn't able to go into the temple to see her get married, and that really, really broke his heart. And he actually didn't know he wasn't going to be able to go into the temple until he went and visited his oral surgeon. And this oral surgeon, thank goodness, was LDS. And he's like, Oscar, do you know you can't go in? And Oscar didn't know. And that oral surgeon, he closed down his office and spent like the next 4 hours talking to Oscar and comforting him and consoling him and telling him it was going to be okay. And Oscar's thing was, I waited all my life to walk my daughter down the aisle, and I won't be able to do that. And he was able to go to her ceiling. This is before he investigated the church. And he got to sit in the lobby of the LA temple because he couldn't go in. But he was waiting, and even though she shared with us that he had so much confusion in his heart, he didn't know what to think. He knew he wanted to go back to the temple. And so, as we taught him, Oscar accepted, the commitments, and I was in the area, and then I got transferred out because it split, and then sisters came in, and the sisters left, and I went back in, and then I got back out, and the sisters came back in, but it was really confusing. But I got to be there for when Oscar got baptized, and then he came on board missionary. He passes out the programs at church. But it was really cool because 3 weeks before I left my mission, I was able to go to the LA temple and to watch Oscar get endowed, to be able to go with him to the temple while he was endowed. And that was such a great experience for me. And I remember going to the temple, and once we got to the top, seeing Oscar with his daughter and with her husband. And Oscar, he doesn't have a wife right now. But the Spirit testified to me that they were an eternal family. And that even though Oscar and his daughter are not sealed together, that they are an eternal family. And that the Lord was going to provide a way for them to be together forever. And that was definitely one of the highlights of my mission.